Now, Hero engine is a very ancient device. Hero of Alexandria, Egypt, a couple of thousand years ago, was one of these people that did all kinds of cool things. I mean, that was a center of learning. They had the great library at Alexandria, and a lot of mathematics going on, stargazing and so forth. Hero was kind of a practical person, and he came up with an engine, a steam engine. He was actually the inventor of the first steam engine, as far as we know. His steam engine turned out to be some sort of kettle, and it had two L-shaped tubes, and the kettle could turn. And somehow he provided heat to the bottom of the thing, and there was water inside it, and it made steam. And that's what we started with. Okay, I've got one over here that I've made to show you. And it is made out of a piece of equipment that you may not see very much anymore. Now they're usually black and they're plastic. But at your better plumbing supplies, you can get this. This is what? It's the ball inside the toilet tank, yeah. And that in itself is a great little science thing. If you could take the kids to the restroom and open up the toilets, that's a really neat thing because it helps to adjust the flow and so forth and all that. What I've done is modified it to make it into a Hero engine. And by the way, whenever you do things like this, it's always good to model good safety procedures. If you weren't here, I wouldn't even remember to put these on, but now that you're here, I got to do this right. Torches are not really dangerous, but what I've got are two L-shaped tubes. I know it's hard to see it in this lighting in here. Two L-shaped tubes, and there's water inside. They've already added the water, and the plans for making this are in there, by the way. This is the toilet tank version, and all you got to do is start to heat this thing with a torch. Now the water has cooled off a little bit since I set this up here earlier today, so we'll give it a little time to heat up. And eventually we're going to see some reaction, which in fact is starting now a little bit. Not much yet, but it is starting to turn. I'm beginning to see steam now. There we go. I got steam coming out. Now it's boiling pretty good. There we go. And it's spitting at a really good clip. Oh, you want a picture? Okay. All right. I'll leave this up here. You can take a look at it. But remember that the water inside is going to be hot now. So, nope, we're out of balance. Eventually, it begins to spin too fast. That's our Hero engine. That's a very simple device, and you can make these easily. The instructions are there. It doesn't take much to do that. But there's a variation of it for the classroom where the kids can make their own. And that's what I got this tub of water over here for. Get the lid off. Okay. And for this, you will need a soft drink can. Somebody in the office likes Dr. Pepper, so I grabbed these this morning. And what you also need is a nail. Just it can be different diameter nails. And you simply take the can. I'll do it up here for you. You just go along. Here's the top of the can. The opening, the little pull tab becomes a great place to tie a string to. And all you do is you punch a little hole right there. Now, if you can see that or not, but there's a nail sticking out of that side right near the bottom. And then I'm going to push the nail over like this to bend the hole this way. I will rotate this 1/4 turn, make another hole, and bend the hole the same direction. Another 1/4 turn, bend the hole, and the last 1/4 turn, bend the hole. Okay, now with the tank of water, I just got to fill it up. And you ready? Now we've made a mess on the floor, maybe. Be careful around here. Part of the fun of this activity is you get the action-reaction effect, but if you make the holes different sizes or place them in different ways, kids can experiment using these cans and try different things. What if the holes are bigger? What if you only have 2 holes? What happens if you have one hole bent one way and the other hole bent the other way? And they can try different things. Raise the holes up here. And they'll find out different things. Like, for example, if I were to put the holes up here, maybe you can predict what would happen. Any idea? I didn't really catch that from anybody. You were close. Why don't we start with you?
It'll only spin so much, just a few times. Whenever
Yeah, it's only going to spin. The water level will drop and then suddenly stop. And then you have the rest of the can full of water. So that's something the kids will need to find out for themselves, though. So you actually have them try to predict and design an experiment to learn about this. And if the holes are bigger, much bigger, will that make it go faster? Or if the holes are smaller? And it turns out there is a nice size for the nail to be to make it go the fastest. If you get the holes too big, the water goes whoosh, and it's done. If they're too small, it barely dribbles out. So kids can do that. And by the way, you don't have to use a nail, but nails are very convenient, and you can get them in different sizes, and they're not overly sharp. You could use a ballpoint pen tip to pop a hole there too and bend it, but it's hard to control the diameter of the hole because you can push it in too far. So it's better to work with a nail, and they're very inexpensive, but there you go. I got another one up here if anybody wants to practice with this later. There's another can ready to be used right there. And the nails. So that's a little bit about the Hero engine. And it helps you to understand a little bit about action and reaction. The can versus the steam engine, what's the real difference between the two? You're using heat. In that case, we're just using gravity here. But they're both water, just different forms of water. And we got a much higher reaction with that one once we got it going because you got this gas shooting out at very high speeds. And you notice how the engine started up slowly and then got to go faster and faster and faster, just exactly what we've been talking about. Okay. Well, that's a fun one to do, and it's very inexpensive when you do those cans. And there's a lot of details about this, how to I'm standing right in front of the screen here. Great. There's the instructions for how to make it out of copper pipe and how to do this. If anybody has ever played a little bit with solder, very easy to do.